Good evening, everybody. It is 5:30. I will now call this meeting to order. We do have a full quorum. Welcome. This meeting webcast live and recorded. The recording of our webcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. At this time, I would like to remind everyone about the procedures of public participation in tonight's meeting. Members of the public are encouraged to attend and address the board on any agenda item or topic within the board's jurisdiction. Public comments will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker with a total of 20 minutes allocated for each item. If necessary, the president will adjust these times limits to ensure everyone has opportunity to speak. Non-English speakers will be given double the time to allow for a translator. Speaker request forms are available at the entrance of the boardroom and can be handed to Ms. Gonzalez prior to public comment. Regarding complaints, if a concern is raised about an employee, the complainant will be informed of the appropriate complaint procedure. The first step is for the complainant to submit the concern in writing to the district office, after which the district will begin the investigation process to address the issue fairly and promptly. Complaints involving child abuse or unlawful discrimination will be handled in accordance with specific legal protocols. Please note that any document handed to the board during the meeting are subject to public records request in accordance with the California Public Records Act. The board prohibits retaliation against complainants, and all complainants will be investigated promptly and impartially. Please be respectful to the meeting's process. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated and may result in removal from the meetings. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, if I can please have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. You approve the regular board meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the board meeting agenda for today? Motion to approve. I'll second. Thank you. Roll call. Patty?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And Di. Reports. We have the middle school first. Natalie?
Yeah.
Pressed it? Oh.
I need to put it down.
Oh.
Good evening, board members, district administrators, parents, and community members. My name is Natalie Child Martinez, and I'm this year's JMMS ASB secretary. Tonight, I'd like to share some great things that are happening on campus. We have started the fourth quarter at JMMS and are now getting ready for the state test. The first state test is science, and we start next week. The students at JMMS are getting ready to do their best. Next, Mr. Gina and the JMS band have a concert band festival this Friday. Also, in performing arts, Mr. Hawkson continues to prepare the JMS theater group for the upcoming play Beauty and the Beast, Bed and Breakfast. In the spring sports, JMS is doing awesome. Our baseball is in second place, and the softball team is fighting for a spot off playoff. The JMS track team hosted the John Muir Invitational before spring break, and it was amazing as 30 schools and over 1,000 athletes participated. The JMS 8th grade boys took the overall championships too. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share some wonderful things going on at our school.
Thank you. Okay, CHS. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, Jade.
Good afternoon.
So, good evening, board. Students at CHS have been actively engaged in a variety of academic and extracurricular activities as we move further into the spring semester. Just before spring break, we held our annual career day, which was a great success. Students had the opportunity to hear from professionals across a wide range of fields and gain valuable insight into different career pathways. Many students expressed appreciation for the chance to ask questions and explore future opportunities. We are currently in the middle of spring sports league play, and our student athletes continue to represent CHS with dedication and school pride. Both of our softball and baseball teams have reached double-digit wins on the season, showing showing strong performance and consistency. All spring sports are currently competing in league play, with boys tennis and swim heading into their final couple weeks of competition. We also look forward to recognizing our senior athletes during their upcoming senior nights for boys tennis and swimming next week. Track and field is also actively competing in league meets, with CHS scheduled to host the league meet on April 22nd and the Corcoran Invitational on May 2nd, bringing exciting competition to our campus. Academically, our freshmen and sophomores are preparing to take the PSAT over the next 2 weeks, while our juniors are getting ready for the CASP testing season, which is just around the corner. Students and staff are working hard to ensure everyone is prepared and confident for these important assessments. With only 40 school days remaining, our seniors are focusing on meeting scholarship deadlines, finalizing post-graduation plans, and finishing their final year strong. There is a strong sense of motivation as they prepare for graduation in their next chapter. Thank you.
40 days and counting, huh? Thank you so much. Superintendent's report?
Yes, good evening, Board President Cisneros, members of the board, staff, and public. I want to just thank our students for their great reports. It's awesome to hear what's going on at both schools. And one thing that you did hear was the getting up to ramping up for testing, right? So this is kind of like game time for us. We just finished March Madness. And so this is kind of our April, May Madness, right? I guess we would say. And so students have been testing in the English language state test already. And so kudos to our staff that are really doing great work around that. And each of our schools did actually like an LPAC rally for students. So they understood exactly why they were taking the test. And then sent items home to parents. So they're aware as well. So that was great. So thank you again to all of our sites. And then you heard that the high school is taking the PSAT. Last night, several of us went to the Boswell Scholarship dinner, and again, congratulations to the 3 students. Now we have 3 scholarships that are given out, which is, I believe, almost $400,000 a year in scholarship money. So that's pretty amazing. But in that dinner, one of the things that topics that came up was that the SAT score is something that's used to determine who the winner is. And so because of your vision as a board and creating board priority 2, which is saying that you want high expectations for all students, we actually are doing PSAT from grade 7 all the way to 11. So we're creating a culture that students will take the SAT as juniors and seniors to help them out. They're getting prepared for that, where in the past that wasn't happening. So again, I want to thank the staffs, both John Meard, Principal Whitmore, and Principal Larkin, who work with their teams to get that done, because it's new. And this is our first year. And so with first year implementation, sometimes it gets a little crazy. We're not going to be, not lie that sometimes that happens. But at the end of the day, our students are getting access to better information. And not only that, but some of our students in the near future, I'm sure, are going to do really well on the PSAT. And what ends up happening is they're actually able to access additional scholarships with that. So we look forward to congratulating some of those students as well. Lastly, in that, I want to just thank 2 of our sites. Yesterday, we had water that was shut off due to construction. And so we had a Vice Principal Brazier that gave us a call and said, hey, there's no water. And we all as a team got together, and I want to thank Vice Principal Brazier for working with us and getting the kids to get access across the street at the concession for that. It was a kind of a quick thing. And so, again, just being agile and pivotal is important. And then also we heard last time when we had our last board meeting that we had the biggest track meet in the Valley. Or the state.
Middle school, second biggest middle school track meet in the Valley, Clovis Pizzas.
Oh, Clovis Pizza. So, all right. Well, and it was amazing. I mean, I went over there, checked it out if you were able to go. We had 30 schools, I believe, that participated. And the benefit was, like I mentioned last time, was that people came to see Corcoran. They came to see our community and what it's really about. It's one thing to kind of hear things online and one thing to come here and see the beauty that we see in our community, and 29 other communities were able to come visit our town. So that was amazing for our small businesses, for just the community as a whole. So I think that was great. So thank you, Principal Whitmore, and your staff, that we're all out there, all hands on deck, getting that done. And then last but not least, I just want to inform the board that we've been really working with our labor partners, our 2 unions. And so we're going to have a first ever, I believe, convening on the 14th, which is this coming Tuesday, where we're going to have both union presidents and ourselves, and we're going to have a facilitated meeting where we're going to look at designing some guiding principles around how we operate. And so they were both presidents were eager and willing to do that, to meet. And it's not about negotiating or anything like that. It's just like, how do we work as a team? And so I'm looking forward to that. So we'll definitely get some more info around that piece. But I just want to publicly thank both of our presidents, Dulce and Roseanne, as they collaborate with us. I think that's super important. So with that said, I yield my time.
Thank you. Board of Trustees? No, okay, well, I attended the Boswell dinner last night. Thank you so much for that opportunity. It is such a pleasure to see the kids from our community and at my age now, realizing that some of my friends or they're kids that I grew up with, now they have kids and they're making successful choices for their children. It was really inspiring to see that last night. So thank you for that. And that's all I have. Corcoran Faculty Association. California School Employees Association.
No.
Neither. Okay, thank you very much. We're here for public comment. Do we have any? Okay, very good. So we'll go ahead right into the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? I will second. Roll call. Patty? Aye. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Consider the agreement for 1A diagrams. Any speaking on that, or do we have any more questions on it?
Ms. Alvarez can go ahead and speak on that.
Yeah, that's an agreement for services with our architect to get updated building diagrams and drawings so that we can have current information. We have had some changes over the last few years and we just like to have some current specs available for that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I second. Thank you. Roll call. Patty? Aye. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie? And I. Consider the approval resolution number 1419, budget revision collective bargaining agreements. Very good. Do you have a second? Valerie? Roll call. Patty? Aye. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie? And I. Consider the approval of permission to bid Red Heart Elementary HVAC. Do I have a motion to approve? I move to approve. That was Patty and Valerie. Do we have roll call? Patty? Aye. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie? And I. Consider the ratification of agreement with Cintas.
I make a motion to approve.
Who's that? Sandra? Thank you. I will second. Do I have a motion? Do I have a roll call? Patty? Aye. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie? And I. Consider the approval of job description and salary schedule for the Executive Director of Human Resources and Culture. Do I have a motion to approve, or do we have questions?
Is somebody gonna present that before we do it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
present
I
it,
would
please.
start. We're actually gonna probably tag team on it.
Okay,
The
thank
three of
you.
us. So one of the things is, we have a position that's vacant, that's being vacated at the end of the month. And so we, the three of us here, our team, our cabinet team, really took time to look at the school services reports that the board had approved. One of them prior to me coming on board, which is the HR audit, if you remember that report, as well as the organizational report itself. We took a look at those and what the needs were, as well as kind of what the job was entailing, and looking at other like school districts in the area. And so some of the information that I provided to you all was, if we look at like 3 like districts or similar in size almost, one was a little bit bigger, Selma, they have a chief of HR. And so we definitely didn't want to go to that level because that's a way different classification. Another one, which was Dos Palos, is smaller than us, and they have an assistant superintendent of HR. And then we have Parlier that's almost similar to us. We're like a couple hundred students off, and they have an executive director of HR. And so looking at the demands of that job, being able to really have it aligned with those demands and what those are. So we did comparisons of not only our current job description of HR manager, but also what it looked like for an executive director, something that we all kind of had, kind of looked at leaning towards. So it wasn't all the way to an assistant superintendent, but not necessarily a director level, because this role as well does a lot of work that needs to be right above a director. So a lot of the HR capacity work, an executive director would be one level above a director. And so that was kind of the rationale for that. On the salary schedule side, what we kind of did was look at what do we currently have in the salary schedule, if there was any wiggle room to be able to not to provide raises for everybody. So that's not there. Everybody stays status quo. But we did look and see, do we have room in between ranges that we could add another range in there? And we were able to do that. So our CBO did an amazing job of kind of looking at that and being able to see that that was doable. So we were trying to make it comparable to what other systems were paying that kind of position. And so it's a more executive level position. It's going to require both a bachelor's and a master's degree. We put in there that there's a certification for HR that is desirable, but not necessarily needed. And then it's also a position that can either go either certificated or classified. So in the backup, there's those two salary tables, because someone who went the route like myself or Dr. Vargas that went through the teaching and principalship and district leadership, that's certificated, that person could apply. And someone who hasn't done that, they've gone the other route. They might have come from private industry, a city, a municipality. They could have come through another public agency, like we just hired a while back, Monique, in our director of budget. She came from the county. That could also be the case, but it still would be an executive director position level with, similar pay, a little bit different because certificated. And Ms. Albers can go into a little more detail if needed. Pay is usually a little bit higher than a classified, so that's the only difference.
What's the salary difference?
Yeah, between the certified and the classified.
We just looked at that today. I want to say like in a certificated, it's roughly about.
No, for the position is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so it right now it's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said it's a new salary schedule. Is there an increase in salary?
It is. So we're not going to backfill that position, the manager position. It's just increasing from where it's at now. So there's a difference of that. So the difference of that for the certificated is about 40,000. And the difference for classified, I want to say, is a little bit over 30. So that's the difference in that.
And what's the minimum qualification for HR experience?
In there, it has that they have at least 1 year in there, but it definitely could be more, right? Those are the minimums.
I have a problem with the last couple of board meetings. We're talking about overstaffing and laying off and potential layoffs in the next few years, and you come to this board and request an increase for a position. And not only that, but you lower the minimum desired qualification for 1 year experience in HR. That position is very vital to both classifications and to all employees. That minimum qualification should be 3 to 5 years, period, in my opinion. And as far as raising the salary schedule, you're slapping everybody in this district again, right in the face when we're talking about layoffs. And we have no idea what's going to be happening in the next 3 to 5 years, but you want to increase something that this board reviewed 3 years ago for a new HR job description. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was done in 2023, wasn't it? The current one?
I was in here in 2023, but
I understand that you weren't. I know that. I know who's here. Is what I'm saying is that you're asking for more money for a position, you're asking to reclassify the position, and you're also asking to lower the minimum desired qualification. To me, it sounds like you have somebody in mind for the job already.
We're gonna go ahead and just discuss this a little bit further because that's an allegation that we're not gonna support. My concern is, yes, we don't have the finances to give raises. We were talking about laying people off, but also why is it necessary? Is it that there's not enough qualified people if we leave it as it is? Because we do want to be able to have someone in here that's going to conduct all the business that it's going to require, especially with being such a high level position for the district as a whole. So that was my why. You know, are you guys don't see any qualified candidates?
Part of it, I could let my colleagues speak as well to that, is we are looking at what other districts are doing currently, and the landscape has changed for HR. That's why we're seeing like-sized districts go to a more elevated position. And when we did the presentation with the 3-year plan, in there was both the need to not lay off people, remember we're doing through attrition, but also that we needed to balance the support that the staff were getting. So we know that through the school services audit, we're like 7 people less than any other district. Remember when they came and they said, if we were at 7, we would actually be at dead last still. So people are not getting the level of service that they need. And hence why we got the outcomes from the report. It's not to the person that's currently in the role, because even then it would be hard. So being able, the why is because that position requires, you know, a more strategic and advanced. And if you guys want to,
Yeah, I think we've, you know, spent a couple of years in the service, the audit that was done helped us evaluate the complex needs of the district. And so we're really thinking about the talent strategy, the talent development, how we're starting to create pipelines for growth within our organization. And so this seemed like an opportunity to be able to think about what is our dream state for the district, and investing in that so that we have the support and resources to weather the storms that are coming. We have someone who has deep expertise in talent management and working through negotiations as things become more complex for us as a district. We're really looking for that level of expertise to help guide us throughout that process in the years to come. So really this shift is a focus on long-term strategy and the sustainability of the organization to help us continue to grow as an organization.
So maybe I missed the answer to the question.
Mhm.
Is there not enough qualified people out there to fill the position?
It's really about looking at the position right now, there probably would be, but is it the position that needs to meet the needs of the work? No. At this level, we're not gonna get what we need to fulfill what the audit required. So that's why hence the difference. And just for, as far as affordability and whatnot, I don't know if Ms. Alvarez wants to comment on that, as we know, we looked at all those factors, right? We want to make sure that was a part of it.
Excuse me, would the county be doing the research for us?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I think is important is that we follow the same model. So when I came in, one of the requests that the board had was make the hiring process fair, right? Don't appoint. So there hasn't been any appointments. And then with the roles of the CBO and the assistant superintendent, the county did the search, if you guys remember that, right? And so that really is the work that we want to do with this position. If it's passed, is because it's an elevated executive position. So that the county would actually do that. We would have no piece in that until the very end when we have the final. But the county would do the search, we would reach out to them to do that. So that would be the goal, is to reach out to them and say, hey, can you help? And, you know, again, Superintendent Barlow and his team have always been great with that. And they do a fair job. And so we want to make sure that happens. So it follows the same process. We want to, you know, keep that going. But I did want to thank you for that question. I did want to just, if you can speak to that other piece.
Sure. On the financial question and referring to layoffs, I think as Mr. Pacina said, the goal for changes would be through attrition, not through layoffs, but primarily because of the fact that we are in declining enrollment and we haven't had adjustments to staffing ratios to align with that. That adjustment allows for us to continue to have COLAs and any other adjustments in future years and mitigate the pressures that come with declining enrollment.
Yeah, but it sounds to me a little contradicting because we're saying, well, we need this because we need the qualifications, but when you're talking about the job description, you're not asking for very much experience.
The experience actually comes through the job description itself. So the way we did the qualifications was we looked at the other job descriptions in the area and they all kind of do the same. They have upper management experience and then they have at least a minimum of 1 year HR experience. But within that, we deal with HR role stuff all the time in our jobs. So you have someone who is a district leader already, they're dealing with that all the time. So that piece is there. Now, again, that's the minimum, right? If we, with the county, if we say we really want to have a desire to have someone who has 3 years, then they'll look at that. But we also don't want to, sell so high that we don't have anybody in place, to kind of, have out there. And again, it's open to either classified or certificated. So it's not, it leaves the door open for either side. So they can apply. So in there, yes, like, for example, for myself as a principal and our principals in the room, they deal with the unions every day. They deal with HR issues every day. They deal with HR law. So you're gonna have a principal that has HR experience. The same thing with the person at the district level, they're gonna deal with the same thing. So we deal with that already. Having been in a role of HR specifically only for the 3 to 5 years, is gonna be very, very uncommon to have someone come in. I mean, that's why districts leave it that way. They leave it open that way. But at the very end of the day, we're gonna choose who the best person is, right? The county is gonna know who would meet the qualifications, and then that's who they screen in.
So we're also stating there that we're gonna increase the pay and that they're also short-staffed in that department. So why not create a full-time position to help assist this person versus giving them such a big increase?
Actually, this year, and I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, Ms. Alvarez, but in her work, and she's been doing a great job of redesigning the workflows of the staff. Where we had the 0.5 FTE is primarily doing 1.0 of HR now. So that wasn't the case before. If you remember during the audit, it was only a 0.5, but she can speak a little bit more to that if she'd like to.
For the current. Doesn't work for HR.
Yeah, our current HR business assistant has been primarily assisting the HR department to be able to provide the needed assistance that's happening there. And as we've been reviewing the fiscal side, making sure that that's still fully supported, we did have the staffing available within our current structure.
I'll make a motion, but I want to add that I really would like to see minimum of 3 to 5 years of HR experience. Comparing HR in this office to principals that deal with HR issues is a lot different. I think this is a lot more in detail with both unions, both laborers, both education codes or the education code. So I'll make a motion if we do a minimum qualification of 3 to 5 years
And
in HR.
I'm not sure if I like the whole executive title. Maybe a personnel director, because if we already have principals who are handling this at their level, most of it is resolved by the time it gets to that HR level.
The reason being in our industry, so I'll just kind of explain that, and I'll to both, right? So in our industry and education, and I don't know how it is with the city, it might be the same way, but titles do bring a different type of person into the role. So when a person is looking for a personnel director, it's very similar to a manager. So in that regards, we would be in essence be doing the same thing. It wouldn't change. The executive director makes it an executive level position. So what we're going to see more than likely apply are either folks that might be like from a municipality, maybe a city manager of a small city, maybe someone who is doing higher level cabinet work at a county level. In the district side of things, we're going to see more than likely folks who are director of HR currently, and now they're going into an executive director. That's kind of like the next step. So it's also to be able to recruit the best candidates for the role. And so it's really about titles. Even if we were to say like a title that some districts use is administrator of HR, administrator of finance. That one actually is looked down upon with when people are looking for jobs, even though it's the same level, they'll choose the executive director over the administrator. So it's a lot of, that's the recruitment side of things, the strategy that Dr. Vargas was talking about. If I was an administrator of curriculum and instruction, but in other places I would have been a chief academic officer, which is a way different title than administrator. So that's why it's for recruitment. The piece about the 3 to 5 years, which I would recommend that if it would be as a desirable, not that it's the thing that, because it might close the door. So if we said that preferred, because there's a section for preferred, if we said preferred 3 to 5 years experience, preferred the HR credential, and left it the minimums being that helps to kind of get to that point. So that helps them as they're screening as well. So they're gonna look for those things. So I'm not in a disagreement about the 3 to 5 years. I think that's something we would,
That's our ideals.
ideal state, exactly. But putting it in the minimum qualifications might actually eliminate folks that we might see. Like, for example, you might get someone like, an example is a single school district, like a principal superintendent. Joaquin is an example, right? They have a principal superintendent. That individual does HR all the time, but they also do a school. So when they're talking with the principal about HR issues, it is true, you're right, Mr. Ramirez, that the HR issues that they deal with sometimes are different than what we're dealing with at district level. But because we're so small, a lot of times it's all the same thing, right? But they're able to kind of see it from their lens, and that's beneficial. As a principal myself, it's beneficial when that person has that experience. So again, if it was in the preferred, might be beneficial for as we're screening, and we would put it in there, that adjustment, but keeping the 1 year as the minimum, but the preferred being 3 to 5.
Patty, do you have any more questions or comments?
No, I do like that idea of relaxing it just a little bit. I mean, if it was possible, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Sam, anything else?
I've already made a motion, it's on the table if you guys want to.
Sandra? Nothing? Okay, I don't, I do agree with the 3 year, and then it'd be preferred. And then also as far as the title, I'm not too sure, but we'll go ahead and go with the motion. So Sam made the motion. Do I have a second?
Did you want to say something?
I was gonna say that just to clarify the motions, everybody knows, because we were talking a lot, so I want to make sure that the motion,
Because Sam put out a motion.
yeah.
You have to go through that.
So that was for 3 to 5 years. And are we happy with preferred or mandatory minimum? Okay, do I have a second for that motion of 3 to 5 minimum?
Second that.
You second that? Okay. And a roll call, Patty?
Aye.
Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And I.
Thank you.
Receive the public disclosure sunshine of proposal for successor collective bargaining agreement. There is no vote needed at this time. The board will receive the public disclosure also referenced as the sunshine proposals for the successor collective bargaining agreement. This is item for information only and no action will be taken today. Future agenda items. Are there any requests for board members for future agenda items?
Whoever the legal counsel that advised board members not to speak to employees, I'd like them to come to the next meeting so they can explain it, please.
Okay, actually they'll be here tonight for
Great.
closed session.
Well, Madam President, I don't think it's on the agenda, is it?
It's not, but since you're requesting it, it could be for the future
But I
tonight.
understand that, but if it's not on the agenda, we shouldn't be discussing it, correct? Am I wrong or am I correct?
I believe you're correct, but I was just trying to be proactive and
Right.
work on it today. Are we allowed?
No,
No.
it's not agenda.
Yeah, it's not, but
Agendized, so we can't discuss it in closed session, is what I'm saying. So if we can have them back next board meeting, that would be great.
it could, and then just for clarification, what is it, because they'll need some guidance, what is it that you're wanting from that?
Please understand where I'm going. Whoever gave this board members or any of the board members advice not to discuss any school issues with employees, that is who I would like here. Okay? I need clarification so that I'm not in
Yeah, so they can do it two ways. One is they can do it here and in open session, which would be like kind of the Brown Act training that we had. They can do a training around that, or they could do it through a board memo, one of the two. So it could be either way.
I think if she could return via, I mean, she doesn't have to
Yeah,
come
so
in person, right? We can speak to her through the Zoom or something in order to get a
As long
clarification.
as it's working because of my hearing disability, I'm fine with it. If not, she needs to be here. She's getting paid a lot of money, or they are. Because you guys all know that I cannot hear when they're sitting there with the Skype, and I have an issue with that. Okay?
I think it's better that they are in
Thank you.
person so
Okay.
that we could discuss and ask questions versus anything else.
Okay.
Alrighty, so closed sessions. The topics of public employee performance evaluation and public employee discipline dismissal or release have been identified for closed session. Do we have any public comments for closed session items? Therefore, at 6:06, we will go ahead and adjourn to closed session. Thank you, everybody.